Welcome to the Recklessly Skeptical podcast. My name is Josh.
And this is Joe.
I'm Matt.
And you can find us on Recklessly Skeptical on YouTube, as well as the Evil Atheist Facebook group, or you can find our separate YouTube channels, ZZZ Giant Awake or The Evil Atheist. And welcome, guys, to another edition. Today is January 31st, 2016. That's an important date in the calendar because tomorrow is the Iowa primary.
Woo! I'm so excited. Everyone's all like, who you taking for the Super Bowl? And I'm all, super what? Iowa caucus, bitch.
Super Bernie.
Yeah. and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll take Colorado because they're close by. And then I found out that Bernie is going for the Panthers, so I'm going for the Panthers.
Yeah, it's going to be a super close race. I mean, the polling has been neck and neck for a minute now, switching back and forth between who's going to win. I think that it actually lines up in Bernie's favor because I think Bernie's got more people more pumped about the primary.
I'm seeing a lot more people going to his rallies, though. And it's like, so I don't know. These polls, most of these polls are like, what, CNN, stuff like that? Or,
Yeah. I mean, they're trustworthy polls.
Yeah, but I'm just all the people showing up at his rallies.
They both had rallies last night in Iowa, and they've released pictures. And the amount of people at Bernie's compared to Hillary's was outstanding.
It looked like there was 20 people at Hillary's and then 20,000 at Bernie's. Like the whole entire stadium was full, and then like Hillary's was like in a hallway, and it wasn't even half full.
Yeah, it looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
Or good, depending on your perspective.
Yeah. And one other thing to mention about the primaries tomorrow, it does look like there is a weather warning that they're going to be dealing with blizzard weather, so we'll see who toughs it out and shows up.
Definitely.
Oh, man, I hope he takes Iowa. Hope he does.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so if he takes Iowa and New Hampshire, that's going to put him in a great position going into the rest of the month and then into March. March 1st is a huge polling date with, like, over 12 states all voting on March 1st.
And when is New Hampshire's?
New Hampshire's is the 9th. I can quickly run down the list. I had it up here.
Right here.
Right here.
Yeah, I think, I believe in Bernie. I think he's going to take Iowa, and I think he's going to take New Hampshire, and I honestly think he's going to take the presidency.
I do too.
Okay. Okay, I got it pulled up. So going in order of events, February 1st is Iowa, February 9th is New Hampshire, Nevada is Democratic caucus is February 20th, South Carolina is November 16th for the Democrats, and the Republicans have different dates for Nevada and South Carolina, but those are both happening in that same month.
And they don't matter.
And March 1st, we've got Alabama, America Samoa, Arkansas, Colorado, Georgia, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, and that's it for the Democrats.
Jesus, that's a lot. I can't wait for March 1st.
Yeah, geez.
If that happens and it swings one way or the other, that will obviously be the deciding factor.
And you said America Samoa too, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing like a hashtag, like a haka for Bernie. And then like, everyone could start doing like a haka, for Bernie, getting pumped. Let's get pumped here. Do you guys know what a haka is?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and for Utahns, it's March 22nd is the date you have to keep in mind. And you can register at the booth. You have to be not registered as a Republican, but if you're an independent or not anything besides a Republican, you can still vote Democratic in that Democratic primary.
See, and I wasn't sure about that because I was registered as unaffiliated, and I wasn't quite sure, so I went and re-registered as a Democrat, and it took 5 seconds, people. Well, not 5, like 5 minutes. It's really fast. It's really easy. If you're not registered to vote, just hop online and do it real quick. It's extremely fast.
Yeah, and what was that hyperbole there, man? We don't like hyperbole on this show. 5 seconds. Fuck you.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, should we move on?
Yeah.
All right, we got a great little story, and it's kind of an obvious story. Most atheist, free-thinking people will already know this, but I think it's a great little list we can go down. So Pathos has a story out. It's titled Satanic Temple's 7 tenets are morally superior to the 10 Commandments, which I'm sure we all know. So we can just go down the list if you guys like.
Oh, let's talk about what Satan, the Satanic Temple and the Satanists actually believe as far as modern Satanists in Utah.
Okay.
So, I mean, we'll get that in the Ten Commandments, but do you know a quick overview of what they are or what they do?
I mean, I've researched them a little bit. It's been a long time. I know that most of them are atheists, correct?
Yes.
They do have certain beliefs that, doesn't correlate with atheism. Like, you can be an atheist and not be a Satanist,
So-
but most Satanists are atheists.
Some of the cockblocking that comes around to having atheists show up at in town halls, like say his town hall says, "Oh, we'll let all religions show up for prayer. We'll let all religions do that." And then oh, atheism isn't a religion. You guys keep saying it's not a religion. And so what the Satanists have done is they don't believe in God. They don't believe in the devil. They want to have something to point to as far as like their humanistic values, and they also want to have a legal arm, something to say, hey, well, if you're going to pass out Bibles, if you're allowing all religions to pass out Bibles, guess what? We're going to pass out satanic literature. And that freaks religious people the fuck out. Because
It's awesome.
Yeah, because they're worried about it. Now let's hear what the Ten Commandments are versus the...
Can I say something really quick?
Yeah,
I
of
just want
course.
to point out, when I was younger, when I got into the goth scene and the metal scene, and I wear satanic images on my shirts, and I was all about the devil and all that.
Yeah.
All that was to me was just a rebellion against Christianity. I didn't believe, that I was worshiping Satan or anything like that. I didn't believe in any of that. To me, all it was like almost, it was rebellion. And so that's what I see the Satanic Church is. It's just the same as that.
You never sacrificed any goats?
No, but I did eat a baby once.
That was your atheist side, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, so we have the 7 tenets of the Satanic Temple. Number 1 is strive to act with compassion and empathy toward all creatures in accordance with reason. Pretty badass.
Yeah, I like that.
The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions.
I like that one a lot more.
Yes, let's see. One's body is subject to one's own will alone. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forgo your own. Pretty badass.
Yes.
Beliefs should conform to our best scientific understanding of the world. We should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit our beliefs. Weird. People are fallible. If we make a mistake, we should do our best to rectify it and resolve any harm that may have been caused. And then the last one, last but not least, every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word.
Yeah, and I'm guessing they don't have the Ten Commandments there because everybody's supposed to know the Ten Commandments.
They actually do.
Oh, they do. So everybody, just a challenge, especially to Christians. Pause this and stop. Write down the 10 Commandments as you know them, or as many of them as you can, and see how close to all 10 Commandments you get. Because rarely have I ever seen anybody come close to getting them done, let alone 5 or 6. So I'd like you to pause and do that now.
When I did a video on the evil atheist about the 10 Commandments being removed off Capitol grounds, I think it was in Oklahoma, and there's this Christian guy that follows us, and he's a lighthearted guy. We've talked in the comments before, and he named, I think, 5 or 6, and he was like, well, that's as good as I could do.
And so now, Matt, do you want to read the 10 Commandments?
Yeah, and I would like to point out, for those 7 tenets of Satanism, or the Satanic Temple, or whatever you want to call it, I didn't disagree with any of them.
Oh.
Yeah. Neither did I.
So, number 1, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Number 2, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Well, that's stupid.
A graven image.
Yeah.
What's that supposed to mean?
So there have been there's been a lot of debate about it. For some of the most fundamental people, that means no art. That means nothing. Really.
Oh.
Because to make art is to put something in place to worship. From what a literal reading of that sounds like, in 1 second. A literal reading of that sounds like, hey, don't draw things of the sky, the ocean, don't make drawings of that.
Yeah.
But carvings or sculptures is what it sounds like, because graven sounds like you're actually carving into something.
Yeah.
Like engraven.
To me, it sounds like they didn't want people voicing themselves in a way that would go against Christianity or the church.
Yeah, and the more
completely
modern, formal understanding of that is that you shouldn't have other things that you're worshiping in place of God.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so pornography is included by the LDS Church under that commandment, blah, blah, blah.
Porn's good.
But in my mind, it's stupid. Like, the problem that they were having is that they'd have people have sculptures as good luck charms, and that's what they believed in is, oh, maybe this little tiki god that I created has some power to do what I want it to do.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. The first
sorry.
two we think are stupid.
Yep.
Number 3, my favorite. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Jesus fucking Christ.
God damn it.
Yahweh sucks.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Yeah.
That means don't work on Sundays.
Wait, are we...
So is that Saturday or it's Saturday technically, right?
Don't work on Saturday.
This isn't the Jewish Sabbath
So
Saturday.
there are a few different understandings of that too, but the calendars tend to say that Saturday would be the 7th day. But again, I think that most modern Christians understand it is there should be a day of rest. It doesn't matter which day, but it should be Sunday so you can go to church and give tithing.
I'm going with the French, and I'm saying 3 days of rest.
So number 5, I kind of agree with. So I'll read it and then I'll explain.
Wait, but read the full thing.
Yeah. Honor thy father and thy mother. So, yes, I agree you should honor people, just people.
Yeah.
But if your mom or your dad is a psycho killer or a piece of shit, I'm not going to honor that person. I'm going to honor somebody who deserves honor if they're a good human being.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I don't think that people hold necessary, just because your mom and dad are good people doesn't mean that you should essentially worship them. But if they're not good people, then you should cut ties with them when you're 18 if that's what it takes. The other thing is that most of these commandments are punishable. They're something that you can be tried for. So if you don't honor your father and mother and they can prove it, you might get your ass stoned to death.
Yeah.
And not stoned in the way that you guys like.
Yeah. Stoned.
Yeah, homie.
All right. Number 6, one I agree with, but there's conditions. Thou shalt not kill. Somebody's trying to kill me, I'm going to do whatever I can to not get killed.
And if it takes killing them, then. But that should be the last resort.
And number 7 I agree with, but I don't think it should be a law. It's just my own moral standards. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
And this one was definitely punishable by
Stoning.
by stoning to death. Yep.
Number 8, thou shalt not steal. Number 9, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. And number 10, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant.
Does it? Wait, what?
Nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
God damn, my neighbor's got a really good ass.
He's got an ass and a maidservant.
And a manservant.
And a manservant. They got some kinky shit going on over there. Yep, so that's all of them. So, yeah, totally. The Satanists are morally superior than the God of the Bible.
For sure. Hail Satan, 666.
That's right. So, should we do the 6-year-old?
Yeah, we just talked about, I just said 666. We might as well move to the 6-year-old.
What happened, Matt?
1 second.
My computer just...
Okay, and we're going to pause for just a second. And we're back. So here, Matt, go ahead.
So there's a story. It's on 100%fedup.com. It's out of Pakistan, I believe. It's a 6-year-old Muslim girl forced to marry elderly man to settle Islamic family feud. You can pull this up, and there's video. The father of the 6-year-old fucking girl is, begging and pleading to not have this man take his daughter. Yeah. So,
ooh, dude, oh my God. This is what religion does.
Your daughter is older than 6 years old. How does that make you feel?
It pisses me right the fuck off.
Yeah, I
To settle a family feud, is that what it says?
Yep.
So is the older gentleman a relative too?
I think it's one family against another family.
Still, I mean, what kind of family? What I don't understand any position, anything which you could just give your 6-year-old daughter away.
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
Well, so this comes from really early history of humanity. Like, this is the type of shit that people would do. They'd marry their daughters off like their property to make people part of the families. This happened in Europe with alliances, and it happened in further back with when women were really considered property. They had no rights back in the Middle East, back in Abrahamic times, and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a revival to that. But closer to home, I mean, we have people marrying off their children in polygamous areas, and that's something that you guys probably know more than I do.
Yeah, our mom actually, she remembers being a young child, and some 80-year-old man came over to the house and wanted to take her hand in marriage or whatever. And I guess
they went for a car ride, and Mom told me she was sitting in the front seat, and they were driving, and she felt all fucking weird and shit.
Yeah.
And the guy asked her, "Do you think it's okay for a man to see his wife without her shirt on?" So I think that's just that was his weird little perverted way
of
to
let me see your tits.
Yeah, let me see your tits.
Yeah.
And
this was like an old man. And then I remember the only reason why our grandpa didn't allow them to get married is because the guy didn't have enough cattle or whatever to barter for her.
Exactly. Like, it touches closer to home than what we want to admit.
Yes, and
that was our fucking mom.
It's bullshit when so many people, I have friends here that they just want to bash Islam constantly, and Christianity is totally off limits. And I want to bash Islam as well, but I'm going to look at all religion objectively and see the flaws in all of them and point out the flaws in all of them.
Exactly. Our mom was not raised a Muslim woman. She was raised Christian, Mormon, LDS.
Well, it wasn't the regular LDS. It was FLDS, right?
It was. But see, back then, it wasn't that big of a difference. FLDS and LDS. It was basically the same thing, just one, the polygamy thing was separated from the regular LDS. Other than that, they were basically the same. And I bet you anything, there was more Mormon families out there that were fucking doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I do want to take a second and point out, so there is a fundamental difference now between the FLDS groups and the LDS groups. But there are a lot of groups that spring off of the LDS Church. Like, the LDS Church wants to act like it's one unified church and organization, and that these one-offs of this of polygamy are like weird anomalies. There we go. Anomalies.
Anonymity.
But I mean, it's written into church doctrine that polygamy should be practiced, and this is not something that hasn't been in the LDS faith. So Mormons who don't like the FLDS practices or the polygamous practices, you don't need to, it's part of your heritage. So don't act like it's not, motherfuckers.
It's coming from the same book, the same doctrine.
Yep.
And I'd like to point out, I dated a girl a few years ago who was a polygamist. And she lived in Bluffdale. They had churches that they were a recognized ward in the Mormon church, but they were all fucking polygamists. But they were a recognized group to the Mormon church. Mm-hmm. So the Mormon church might have this official stance that they're against it and it's illegal, but they fucking turn their eye to it.
Yeah, and Joseph Smith was the worst. Joseph Smith and Brigham Young were the worst perpetrators of the worst sort of these sexual acts. So your prophets are not safe from this type of ridicule, and that's really close to home.
And the only reason why they made it against the church is because it became illegal in the country, polygamy, and that was the only reason why they made it illegal, because they wouldn't be allowed. Utah wouldn't.
Statehood.
Yeah.
Yeah, wanted to get statehood. But I guess polygamy is going up to the Supreme Court right now.
Yeah, it's being challenged. It's not up anywhere near that level yet, but it's going to be going up to the circuit court.
See, and even though I think, there's some harmful shit from polygamy, I still think it should be legal. If it is consenting adults that want to get married, same with gay marriage, it should be legal. But when you're going to some dude's house and picking up 14-year-old girls or 12 or fucking 6-year-old girls, that's where you have to draw the line.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's very clear. And what's unfortunate is that it seems like the people in Sister Wives are not are not terrible people. Like they are really love each other. They're really happy with their situation, and they want to be recognized as married couples.
They're from the group I was just talking about.
Yeah, and so there are people who practice polygamy and polyamory in a fine and fair way, and I think that those relationships should be recognized. It's going to be hard to figure out the litigation for that, but it's something that eventually, in a modern society, we're going to have to start figuring out how to recognize.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I couldn't do it.
I'm certainly not of the type that can. So 1 second. So, Matt, unless we have anything else to say about this, let's move on to the secular story.
Definitely. So, this is a story about Donald Trump, our favorite guy, and you can find this at christianpost.com. So, Donald Trump recently said, sorry, I'm a little slow right now, that he promises power for Christianity if he becomes U.S. president.
That's exactly what we need, people.
Yeah, because Christians right now have zero power in the United States.
Yeah, I love hearing. There's this rap artist, and he's an underground rap artist named Isaac Knox, and he one time said, I'm the most persecuted person here. And it's like, motherfucker, you're rapping against, you're putting yourself in that position, first off, where you're rapping against people being openly of a faith, then you won't swear, and you won't drink, and you won't have sex. And it's like, yeah, the white male middle class Christian is the most persecuted person in this country. Bull fucking shit.
Yeah.
The irony is just,
And the second, and
it's
you're
getting
not
pretty thick in here.
They're not having any rights taken away from them. All we're trying to do is make it
equal rights.
Equal rights, and then they get so pissed off, and it's like, oh man.
But
It's the same as when we, the American atheist sues to remove the 10 Commandments. It is unconstitutional. You're putting one religion up on a pedestal. The state is basically endorsing a religion.
Yeah.
And some people say, what's the big fucking deal? Well, it is a big deal because you're putting them on a pedestal. You're making them have a louder voice. So when we have to argue about same-sex marriage and blah, 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 they spread this lie that we're a Christian nation and all this shit.
Yeah, because
it fucking matters.
We have the 10 Commandments on the state lawn, It's like, yeah, that shouldn't have fucking been there in the first place.
Yeah, and our founding fathers wouldn't have liked it to be there.
Yeah, well, if our founding fathers were here and someone tried to do that, they'd be like, no.
And if any of you are listening and you think most of our founding fathers were Christians, go Google that shit. You're fucking wrong.
yeah, we're working on making that an accessible, easy to read, easy to digest book. But that'll be a long ways down the road.
Yes, you're going to read our book.
Yes.
But
read our book. Send us money.
So back to Donald Trump. The other thing I want to point out, he's not been religious before this campaign. He couldn't even quote a fucking favorite Bible verse. I could quote a Bible verse if someone put me on the spot. And they're like, no problem. But
You know what?
he's paying them lip service. Like,
The best Bible verse for him to have read would have been the "No woman shall teach a man," and
yeah,
that would have been fucking awesome.
It would have been very fitting.
Yeah, that's so Donald Trump, this sexist asshole. Like,
And there's a video out there as well that kind of coincides with this. Donald Trump meets with some religious leaders and prays.
yeah, and this is on the Evil Atheist website. So
Yeah, go on our Facebook group, the closed group, and it's on there. It's just fucking creepy. He's standing there holding the Bible, and they all like have their hands on Trump, and he's got this look on his face like, this is fucking dumb. You know? And he's a fucking crook.
Yeah.
So, someone just spray painted the Hollywood star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They spray painted a swastika on that.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
On what?
On his star.
does he
on
have
the
a
Walk
star?
of Fame? Yeah.
All right, you should post that on the Evil Atheist Facebook group so people can check it out.
All right, I will.
So,
yeah.
but yeah, so it was just in Hollywood. Somebody with a spray can just like fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah, and just spray painted a swastika on his star.
It's very fitting.
I hope they leave it there. I hope the state doesn't come out and clean it. You know, it's going to be a Mexican guy and or someone, and he's going to be like, "But it's true." You know,
Poor Mexicans.
Yeah.
I love all you Hispanics and Latinos.
I love everybody.
All right. Unless there's anything else we want to cover in the story, we do have 5 minutes if we think we can fit something else in within 5 minutes. 4 minutes.
Am
now.
I going to do the science story?
Yeah. Can you do that in 4 minutes? With 3 minutes and 30 seconds?
Yeah, sure. Are you going to time me?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right, the secular story, the science story.
Mine's the secular
So
story.
a giant gas cloud is heading toward the Milky Way. I'm reading this from Science World Report. And so basically there's a gigantic gas cloud heading towards the Milky Way galaxy. It's invisible. If we could see it with the naked eye, it would be about 3 times larger than the moon, which is really cool. It's gigantic. It's mostly made up of like sun materials or elements, like sulfur and whatnot.
Just so you know, actually, that's not normally what you find in a star. Stars are like 90% hydrogen and helium.
The cloud contains elements that are similar to the sun. Sorry about that. But it was discovered in the 1960s, and researchers have always wondered what it was made of, and until recently, they've been able to see what it's made of through their color lenses and all that stuff, which is really cool. It should hit the Milky Way disk in about 30 million years. So it's not like it's hurtling towards us right now and we're all going to die. No, but it is going pretty fast. It's traveling at 700,000 miles per hour, which is extremely cool.
It's cool, and it's an awesome picture. So you guys should go Google it and look at the picture.
No, they shouldn't Google it. They should go to the Evil Atheist Facebook group, and Joe will have it posted there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go there, guys. Go there.
By the time you hear this, it will be up.
Cool. And anything else that we want to comment on that story about?
I have gas.
All right, so let's wrap this up. Thank you guys for listening. It has been a pleasure giving this half hour to you. Make sure to join us on the Evil Atheist Facebook page, as well as
Facebook.
As well as you can find us on Recklessly Skeptical on YouTube. We are still trying to figure out whether we're going to continue on with Spreaker and iTunes, but we'll sort that out.
Just go to YouTube, okay, you fucks?
Yeah, we're the best there.
YouTube.
And our personal channels are The Evil Atheist for Matt and Joe, and I am ZZZ Giant Awake. And thanks, guys.
Love you.
Peace.